Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, brought to you as always by Together 2012. Anybody who's joining us for our new live recording slot on Thursdays at midday, welcome. It's great to have you with us. Keep coming back, spread the word, and remember the edited version of the show is up within, we reckon, about 3 o'clock. We're still trying things out, but we think from about 3 o'clock on Thursday. But the auto captions will take till Friday to process, and that's one of the reasons we're here early today. So, for anybody who's new, I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm an artist and artistic director of Together 2012. I'm based in a studio in Canning Town where I've been locked down since March 2020. And with me, of course, is our chair, the artist and activist, Julie Newman. As always, we're dressed up to go out to stay in, and we'll be telling you about some of the things we're dressing up to go out to stay in to do in the week ahead in the second half of the show, where we've got lots of free activities that you can enjoy without even leaving your home. But first, before we have some audio description and tell people what we're dressed up to go out to stay in to do in East London, we're going to go over to the West Midlands, to the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa, for some introductions and audio description from our co-hosts.
Well, hello. I am Robin Surgeon, co-host at Together TV and business director at Together 2012, and also an artist known as Angry Fish. So, as Drew said, we are up here in the Sutton Coldfield studio, and we just have a lovely velvet backing behind us. Uh, I have pretty grey white hair. It's got to be said. Um, I have blue eyes, which are behind dark rimmed armed glasses. Uh, you can't see that I'm not shaven on this picture, which is fab. I'm shaven, honest. I am wearing a blue, a mid blue hoodie, which I does say Nike on the front of it. And it's a long sleeved hoodie. It's very comfortable and warm and cozy. And I'm wearing this because I am dressed up to go out to stay in to do our own poetry cafe over the next few days. It's going to be a bit of a long cafe, but we have some stuff we're definitely going to be working on.
Oh, that sounds really interesting, Robin. And in just a moment or two, we're going to be reading some poems from this week's Pop Up Poetry Club on the theme of a rainy day. So maybe that will inspire you further. Tracy, what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
Hello, I'm Tracy Surgener, and I have got long blonde hair coming over my shoulders, pale skin, blue eyes, and I'm wearing a excuse me, a long sleeved woolly brown dress, which makes me sort of disappear a bit actually. So sorry about that. On top of it, I've got a long necklace with some little hearts on in a grey pewter sort of metal. And my dress actually does change colour a little bit. So I've gone from dark brown to a lighter beigey brown. And I am dressed up to go out to stay in to take part in this poetry workshop that Robin's going to be working on later.
And as always, you are our style icon, Tracy. Well, back to East London. I'll start with the backdrop. You can see just a little bit about the main word together of our graffiti backdrop. We created that with a company called Graffiti Life back in summer, I think 2014. It's still going strong. You can see the whole picture on our website and lots of our branding. It's got images on it of all of the art forms we cover in the course of a year, which range from drama, dance, live art, poetry, spoken word, photography, filmmaking, and much, much more. And just in front of it is our teddy bear Tanny, waiting for the second half of the show when, as always, we have our Clockwork Paralympics. But audio description and what are we doing? I am Ju Gosling, as I said, and I'm a white woman with pale olive skin. I've got green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got black plastic wrist braces and silver coloured jewellery. And today I am dressed up to go out to stay in to go to Hackney Carnival online, which is happening this weekend. Apologies for anybody who just saw everything rocking. One of the cats has joined us. We keep trying to persuade her that actually she doesn't want to appear on the show, but clearly she does. So you might see a kind of Julie being love bombed in a minute by a small flying tabby. Tiny but dangerous, as my late friend Sophie Partridge used to say. So to go to Hackney Carnival online, on the one hand, I've got my lovely bright summery t-shirt. It's turquoise with bright green collar, pink at the back, and sort of, yes, green outlines of tropical flowers on the front. And I'm also wearing my bat headdress. So I've got a silver headband. Don't know how, it's a little bit tricky for people to see, but it's got bat ears stuck to it. It's got eyes on the front. The whole thing was made in our Kitchen Carnival summer workshop from, I think this was a bit of a cereal packet, a toilet roll, and a couple of milk bottle tops. You can see Eve Smith, our trainee, doing a beautiful dance in one in our digital performance Bats. That's going to be premiered on Sunday as part of the Hackney Carnival live stream, and we'll be sharing it with you next week. It's going to be a great weekend of virtual carnival. Saturday is dub sound systems. Sunday is performances and interviews. It runs from 12 to 8 both days, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later. But Julie, who's now got a tabby cat on her lap, grinning triumphantly, if a cat can actually smile. This is, yes, Cheshire Cat, I think. So who are you? What do you look like? And what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
Hi, I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 20 and 2012. Whoa, whoa, I lost 8 years, 9 years. Anyway,
let's not count.
Let's not count. I'm wearing a tabby, a small little tabby with a sort of pink collar. Myself, I'm wearing a white kitchen hat, and I'm wearing a white t-shirt. I have, I never know how to describe my hair. I think I'm in competition with Tracy. It's growing to try and catch up with her. It's sort of auburn but gold and silver. So there you go. I have around my neck a little necklace of a little owl, which is rather lovely, and I'm wearing a kitchen apron.
I think those blue and white striped ones are called butcher's aprons, aren't they?
That's the one. I was trying to think of the word, Ju, and I couldn't think of it.
Well, for anybody who can't imagine what sort of hat you've got and can't see, it's a sort of white nylon catering hat, which actually came from our friend Tony when he was running the Pembrokeshire Tea Company. And Tony designed the Together logo. He's our brand manager. So if you're watching Tony, well, the hat is a little bit grubby now, but it's still going strong. So what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
I'm going to make an apple crumble in honour of the Bake Off series, which we'll talk about a bit later.
Okay, well, you can talk about it now because we won't have time to do all of our recommendations later.
Well, Bake Off starts again on Tuesday, and I cannot remember the time off the top of my head, but it's on Channel 4. I think it's 8 o'clock.
I think it's 8 o'clock, but this is a great moment to plug our highlights and links page. If you go to our website, www.together2012.org.uk, click on the link to Together 2012 TV, and the pull down menu has the highlights and links. All of the poems, images, videos, and links from today's show will be up again by about 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, and certainly by 6 in the event of more kind of stampeding cats, I would have said.
And for sure, I just thought an apple crumble is very seasonal as well, and I found a really nice recipe on the BBC Good Food site, so we're going to share that on the highlights and links page as well.
Yes, I'm kind of very conscious of the fact that the house has got no cooking apples, but never mind, we've got some eating apples. You can see what you can do with those because you've got me on a promise now, as they say. But I think it's time to move on and look at the work that our club's participants have been creating this week. All of our clubs are free. They're currently operating on Zoom or by phone. We'll tell you as we go through. Any disabled person is very welcome to join in with whoever you want to bring with you to facilitate. And if you drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk, we can tell you more about it, or you can follow the links on the highlights and links page, or check out the whole club's programme under 2021 programme on the website. So tell me, Julie, how did this week's Pop-Up Poetry Club go on Wednesday?
It was very topical. Alison had chosen the theme of a rainy day, and the Tuesday had been absolutely full of downpours, certainly in London and the southeast. Everybody contacted Alison before the show. She phones everybody between sort of 10:15 and 10:30, and we join in for free on a
Sorry, I'm
conference
already
call.
a little bit confused. So I think what you mean is you have everybody's phone numbers in advance.
Yes.
And then before the club, not the show.
Sorry, yes, of course. No, I'm very very located today, aren't I? Yeah, before the club starts at 10:30, everybody's sort of lined up on a free conference call. I do emphasize that. And then we read poems that either relate to the theme, or that we've written around the theme, or perhaps sometimes we just like. And we share those poems for half an hour, and at 11 o'clock we all end the call and go off to either write or finish our poems, or perhaps just to get another cup of tea. And Alison calls us back, and at 11:30 we come back together to read the poems that we've created around the theme that Alison had suggested, which, as I said, was a rainy day, which was extremely topical.
Thanks, Julie. And Alison is Alison Marchant. She's a locally based international installation artist, and 3 days a week she runs our clubs programme. And I think you've got Alison's poem there to read. So let's start with that.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yes, this is by Alison Marchant, and it's called Grey Rain. Grey rain beats down and wraps the wet world in its sheets. The humid showers patter soft on the roof window pane. Low clouds and rain. A slow wind is ghost-like, tapping out with fingers, soft and light.
Oh, that was great, and a real departure, Alison. I love the idea of being wrapped in wet sheets, which is so often what it feels like. Although I suspect, given the disparity in our outfits, it's now much hotter again in London than it is in the West Midlands. So what's the first poem you have for us from the West Midlands?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, the first poem I've got is from Ellen Goody, and it's called Rainy Day. Rainy, rainy, rainy day. It's raining outside. The clouds gather overhead while skies turn grey. It means it's a rainy day. Rain, 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 all shine, grey or blue colours in rain. Falling from the sky, time to rain or shine.
Thank you, Ellen. And I think that's absolutely right. You never do actually know in the UK whether it's about to carry on raining or suddenly be sunny or then carry on raining again. And I think I was quite old. Well, I feel very old at the moment because I'm galloping towards 60. But I realised for a long time, it took me a long time to realise that in most countries the weather's quite stable. And the reason they say the British are always talking about the weather is we have more variable weather than almost anywhere else in the world. But this is Papio Mache, Neve, and it's called Rainy Day. Amazing. I always like a rainy day. To see the raindrops on some days, I look out through the window, congratulating the plants grow. Refreshing and cleaning the leaves, strengthening the roots with the breezes. Rainy day gives me good rest, giving all my plants all the best. Chance for me to go out wearing my new blue raincoat. Rainy day does something good. Only put on jackets with hood. Not every day we put on raincoat. Not always we travel in a boat. Only when heavy rain and flooded we get stressed, which cannot be avoided. Otherwise, short and light raindrops give us a different kind of events and soups. Fun days with lots of happiness as rainy day brings us together and closeness. Enjoying hot meals on the table. Washing away and forgetting all trouble. That is my cool rainy day, helping me to relax on that day. So thank you, Pisa. That's a very different perspective. Robin, what have you got for us next?
Okay, I have a piece from Dwayne Bryan. This is called Rainy Day. Yesterday it rained and left a dampness in my heart. I wanted it to shine so I could ease my mind. It felt gloomy. And what kind of weather is it is? Hey, what the heck? I got caught in the rain on my travels, and my feet pitter-pattered as I dabbled. Water splashed up to my knees, and I felt wet. I better go home before I'm soaking wet or drenched. Sometimes the rain was soft and really hard. Should have brought my umbrella. That would have been my guard.
Thank you, Dwayne. And I think that's absolutely right. Although as a wheelchair user, I just find umbrellas completely impossible. And then
Don't run into your hat, onto your bat costume thing.
yeah, there is always that. However, I do recall the times when I've been out because I've had to be working in the kind of glaring heat and had a parasol strapped to the wheelchair, and people tend to scream whenever you turn the chair as it comes round. So for health and safety reasons, which have always been quite a priority in our events, I tend not to. In fact, people used to have bets on how many times I would say health and safety in the course of an event, but it is much easier doing this from home. So, Julie, do you want to read your poem next?
Okie doke. Mine is called The Conundrum. The weather report said rain was due, a quiet start with grey clouds in view. The day got darker, those clouds in grim mood. Then came the rain with notices issued. Some flooding expected, prepare for disruption. Expect journeys delayed with some interruption. So said the warnings, official in tone. The workers set out and uttered a groan, off to their labours, reluctant to roam. Much better the warmth and shelter of home. But the rain was relentless, heavens opened wide, no respite was found, no places to hide. More rain to come, some trains were affected, transport disrupted and flooding expected. Then came the news, the nation was shocked as images spread. Tower Bridge was blocked. A fountain of water gushed through the road, while the river beneath continued and flowed. The buses and cars insisted they cross. They had work to do and would suffer no loss, so forward they pushed. Splashes over the tyre. The water was high, the wake it was higher. A conundrum created. The bridge with a flow of traffic like boats, then the river below. The rain eased off and the water could drain slowly into the river, but the flood would remain on the bridge. Strong bullocks for gutters kept water held in, acting like shutters, till gradually falling, cars flowing now, over a river, not through one, they plough.
Thank you, Julie. And that's a wonderful celebration of quite a historic event. So for anybody who didn't see it, the images of Tower Bridge flowing with water one way as the bridge flowed underneath the other way was really almost a taste of things to come, I fear. Tracy, what have you got for us?
Right, I've got one by Dawn Barber called Dripping Rain. Rain, rain, dripping on my head, again making me wet. This is a day I won't forget. I know we have to have rain, but you do drive me insane. You make me feel miserable. Puddles everywhere, children splashing in them and sending water into the air. I'm going home now. Be glad to get in from this miserable day. But now you won't be dripping on me, just on my windows.
Thank you, Dawn, and thank you, Tracy. I think we've got room for just one more, so I'm going to pick Crystal Pease's, which is called Rain. I used to hate rainy days, and I still hate rainy days, because when it's raining, I don't know where I'm going. And I've had a lot of crashing, and I can't control my wheelchair. Sometimes when it rains, I'm soaking wet. And when my clothes are wet, I feel sick, and I cry when the water goes into my wheelchair. Sometimes I'm stuck indoors because of the rain, and I get upset when it rains. When I'm riding my wheelchair, I slip from side to side. In the rainy day, I can't see much because the water drips on my face. And I can really relate to that, Crystal. You know, however, for Pizer, who's also a power wheelchair user, it's just an opportunity to put up that raincoat with the hood and go out and enjoy herself. So I think it's not just about the weather, is it, or even about the wet. It's whether we enjoy getting wet and cold and can't see or not. Julie.
Thank you ever so much, Ju. Just to say, for next week, the theme for the Poetry Club is the end of summer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So if you'd like to join in from home, we would love to see your poems. You know, you don't have to share them with us on air, but we'd still love to see them anyway. So I'm going to move on to the still life session of the Art Club, which takes place on a Friday morning on Zoom from 11 to 12. And as has become traditional, we're going to put the still life picture up on screen and challenge Robin to audio describe it. This image, again, will be on the website. If you'd like to join in from home, just click on the picture on the website. That will make it bigger. And we can also, if you like to join in the Art Club, but you're worried about doing something like a Zoom screen share that you won't be able to see properly, we can also text you the image, email you the image, WhatsApp you the image. And Alison also goes through the image at the beginning of the session and audio describes it. And generally, it's quite a mindful Friday morning session. So if anybody's watching the live recording and would like to join in tomorrow's Art Club and hasn't already been participating, drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk, and we'll get your details over to Alison, ready for Friday morning. So here we go, Robin.
Ah, well, actually, this is a pair of shoes we've seen before, so it's a nice picture, quite stylized. We have a pair of brown stilettos, but only short stiletto heels. And I think I described them as slingback sandals before. So they're open at the back with a little strap that goes around the heel, and then they come forward into a point with a circle where would be kind of the middle of the foot at the top with a bow, and then ridges in what I think is a kind of brown corduroy or soft leather or suede, coming out a bit like rays of sunshine. One shoe is stood up on the toe, a bit like a ballet shoe, and the other one is flat next to it.
Thank you, Robin. So this first one is, I think it's a pen drawing, and that's by Margaret Spence. And Margaret's takes a beautiful representation, and she's done the outlines, so it's very stylized in a dark colour pen. This one is Crystal Peasy, and Crystal's really done an impression of the shoes, but she's used very accurate brown paint and done lots of things around the texture. Well done, Crystal. And then this one is in felt tip, and that's by Sophia. And again, it's a very, very accurate representation, and Sophia's used felt tips, yeah, I think very effectively. The point of the still life session is that you can use whatever you have to hand. Even if you've just got a biro, you can still join in with the still life. So I've just got one more to show you. And this is a drawing by Sheryl Mcclellan. She's managed to do one shoe in the time. I don't think I'd get as far as half a shoe in the time. I'm always amazed when people can do the whole thing. But it's a really, really beautiful representation in, I think, quite a soft pencil. And then Cheryl's managed to get a darker, sense of the darker pattern and so on at the front. Very, very nice. So again, if you'd like to join the Art Club, that's Friday mornings from 11 to 12. And now we're going to move on again and have a look at what the Art Club has been doing on a Tuesday when they run a Make and Natter session, all led by Alison. And in Make and Natter, you can either join in with a recycled craft activity using things you've already got at home, or you can bring your own craft project, or indeed, if you like a craft project and you want to carry on with it, which some people are doing, you can do that while the rest of the group move on to something else. It's really about coming together, making things, showing each other, getting some tips, getting some feedback, and having a nice sociable session. So here is a pom-pom in process from Crystal Peasy. We can see pink wool, but there's just glimpses of yellow underneath. And last week we had a look at an installation that Crystal's making in the house, just using pom-poms. And the technique she's using here is using scrap wool and just cutting circles out of cardboard. You don't need a plastic pom-pom maker. In fact, I'm not sure the world needs plastic pom-pom makers either. So this next one is Sophia, and Sophia is joining in the activity that Alison started last week, which is Papio Mache. And what Sophia's doing at the moment is she's covered a bowl with cling film and now she's layering Papio Mache strips over it. And with these ones, what she's done is she's recycling some wrapping paper, which is blue with silver triangles and patterns on. And I've never thought of using wrapping paper for Papio Mache, but I think that is a truly excellent idea. Now, this is Ellen Goody, and Ellen is working on what I would describe as a mixed media collage. So she's focusing on kitchen implements at the moment. She's drawing around them. So we can just see at the front of the image that she's got a bottle opener, and she's drawn around that bottle opener to create a pattern. She's coloured it in different ways. Then she's cut it out. It's all on purple paper, and she's put it on a red background, and she's got it to sort of overlap the background so it's bursting out of the frame, which I think is really clever. And then finally, this is one of Duncan Bridgestock's collages, and Duncan's been working on collage from recycled card most of the year. So we're used to seeing all sorts of weird and wonderful collages from Duncan, and we're going to have a whole exhibition of them in our forthcoming Disability History Month festival in November. But this one is actually based on the famous painting Munch's The Scream. And I'm going to ask you just to audio describe it, Robin.
Okay, excuse me. So Duncan's holding up a piece of black card, about A4, and then the image is created with white card. So in the middle he's created a face. So I say it's literally white on black. So you kind of you get the picture by what's there and what isn't. So there's a pair of eyes, which is white circles, but the black background makes the pupils, for example, and is cut out a white circle and left a hole in the middle of that to create the mouth. And then there are two diagonals, kind of. It looks a bit like a shield, if you like, that you'd see. So they've got the face in the middle, then two spears kind of diagonally going through the middle of it, and then I imagine the top and the bottom and both sides are semicircles that are facing inwards, giving it a frame.
Thank you, Robin. I couldn't possibly have done that, but I'm going to take it off now. And just say again, well done, Duncan. I just love the things Duncan's been doing. He's been using pill medication packets. He's been using junk mail. He's been recycling packaging and just made the most incredible collages. So now we're going to move on to Tracy's activity. And as you know, if you're a regular viewer, we have a recycled craft activity with Tracy each week, which is unique to this show. You can, however, find the activities as well as on our highlights and links page. If you go to our website and click on the Join In from Home link, go down to the pull down menu for Join In with Tracy, you'll find lots and lots of inclusive, accessible craft activities. And today we're actually learning how to make two things, aren't we, Tracy? So I'm just going to pop the first image up on the screen.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the birds and the fact that autumn is almost upon us, which means that the nights are going to get dark and the birds' food supply is going to run out. So I just collected lots of things. So we've got empty milk bottle cartons, empty butter cartons, empty squash bottles. I've even got a Bisto carton. So anything really that's a carton shape will do, whether it could be ice cream, it could be anything. I've also got a selection of things that you could use for a perch for the birds. So I've got a wooden spoon, some old chopsticks, some pencils, and somewhere in there's a skewer. So first of all, I thought, right, I'm going to make a bird bath. And I did the craft today, particularly thinking of people that live in flats that maybe don't have gardens, so that they could have smaller things to hang from a balcony or even a window. And I've got a butter tub, and basically I'm using a pointed, what is it?
Corn on the cob fork.
A corn on the cob fork to just push through the butter tub in each corner to make a hole. And then I decided to paint it before I put the string in. Maybe I should have painted it afterwards, but anyway, I painted it just to make it a bit prettier looking, because it's just a plain white. So I painted it in a bright yellow. Then I decided to put the string in, which meant that I also had yellow fingertips for a few days, but that wasn't too bad. I basically just used two pieces of string so that they went diagonally across the container. And I'm just showing you one here. And there we go. I've got the two pieces in, so you just meet in the middle and it can hang. And I decided to decorate the outside with just some red and blue dots, just to make it a bit more funky. And then I thought, right, okay, that's their water and their bath. How about some food? So I took an empty milk carton and then drew a circle about halfway down on both sides, and then cut that out. This is a really, really easy project to do. So I've cut the holes out, and then literally I just pushed a hole through the lid of the carton, and I used a pen for this. It seemed a lot easier, and just tied some string onto that so that I'd be able to hang it. I did just under the hole, there's a skewer being pushed through to act as a perch for the birds. And here we have one milk bottle carton bird feeder. I haven't decorated this one simply because the birds don't really care. But if you wanted to decorate it, then I think it's a really nice opportunity to just decorate in whatever acrylic paints you've got, or even felt tip pens.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Tracy. And I love the idea of taking the strings diagonally rather than having them at the sides, because it just makes all the difference to balancing it. So I'm definitely going to try that myself later. So we're going to move on again. And This time we have an activity from Sterre Ploeger. Sterre Ploeger, as regulars will know, has been shielding in a barn in Norfolk since last summer, although she's due back in Newham very, very soon. And this is how to make a leaf necklace.
Oh, hi, I'm Sterre, and this is Merlo, the dog. And I made a necklace out of leaves. Bye.
So for anybody who couldn't see that, Sterre literally went out into the woods, collected different sorts of leaves and threaded them on a string. If you want to do that and preserve them, if you've got any varnish, spray varnish, or indeed if you've got some PVA glue, you can just dilute that with water and paint it on. That will actually preserve the leaves pretty much indefinitely. But now we will move on again very swiftly because we're getting a little bit behind our own schedule, and it's time for the Clockwork Paralympics. So no further introductions to our Tanny Bear. She's a light honey-coloured bear dressed to race with red and white trainers, a blue tracksuit top and a red sweatband. And Tanny is competing for the right to wear a medal if we win the Clockwork Paralympics this week. Who's your hopeful medal bearer, Robin?
We have Priscilla the Panda. She is as described. She is a kind of medium-sized panda bear with black arms, black ears, black cheeks, black eyes, and the rest of her is white.
That's very topical, considering we're now looking forward to the Winter Paralympics. But I have brought back, after last week when some of our Winter Paralympians, the snowmen, came out for a bit of land training, they've gone off to do some proper cold training now. So we have some more of the traditional Clockwork Paralympians back. I'm just going to pop it up in the stream.
Okay.
And this, Robin, shall I just tell you, the competitors are bunnies, little grey bunnies. So Robin's going to do the audio description.
Yes, we're going to choose the right side of the screen as our favoured side as Birmingham Commonwealth champions against London, who will be on the left side of the screen. We are on our very slick race circuit, and we have two clockwork bunnies with pink ears. Oh, here they go. They are zooming down there, absolutely jumping like mad. And it looks like London seem to be, I don't know, they seem to have gone off course now. Now, was that the left or the right? Okay, that was the right side. So yet again, no, the left side, sorry. So yet again, London, I believe for the fourth week in a row, are champions.
Yes, it was an interesting race. I wish the camera had been a bit more widescreen, but Tanny is now wearing a medal and she's sitting back and continuing to take part in the International Bear Hunt. If you're doing your own live stream or if you've just got a teddy bear to put in the window, remember that children around the world are still hunting bears. But without further ado, we will move on with our recommendations for other things you can do for free from home during the week ahead. And I'm going to go straight to you for one, Robin.
Okay, the first one I've got going to bring you is a TV show. It's on the BBC iPlayer, and it's called Alex Brooker, Disability and Me. Alex Brooker, many of you will know from he's a presenter of The Last Leg, one of the presenters of Last Leg. It's an interesting show because it kind of shows a different side to him, and it's a good show, and it's kind of not just the brash comedian kind of stuff. It's much more sort of an investigation into himself and how disability in the world is. And I think it's nice to see a different side to someone that may not always be your cup of tea.
Yeah, the last leg is not my cup of tea at all, but as always, when I get a recommendation from you, I think I'm going to watch it. I'm going to jump in here and say that tonight and tomorrow, the Digital Joy Festival is being streamed live and free from the Lyric Hammersmith in West London. It's a celebration of locally based disabled artists. At the time it was set up, they had obviously expected COVID rates to be much lower, but they're going ahead with live events with as much COVID security in place as they can have. But if you'd rather watch from home, where of course it's safer, the link will be up on our highlights and links page. And tomorrow night's performance includes our very own Rona Cameron, who's appeared on this show and also worked as a vocal tutor and performed with us. So well worth watching. Those streams start at 7:30 tonight and tomorrow. Where else can you go out and see a great bunch of disabled people performing live from the comfort of your own home? Tracy, what do you recommend?
Right, well, I'm going to start with another TV show. This is a Netflix show, so that sometimes comes with a subscription. But as I've recommended a few shows in this field, I'm going with, it's called Metal Shop Masters. So you can binge the whole thing, or you can just tease yourself to watch one a week. I've watched one so far and it was really, really good. It's another one of these shows where you've got 6 people and they're competing against each other. But this time it's metal work, and I was absolutely amazed at some of the detail and the artistry that goes into working with metal. I just couldn't imagine that you could create some of the things they've come up with. So yeah, it's well worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the repair shop and just looking at the equipment, because you've got some of it is thinking, oh, well, of course you can do that because you've got this, but it also kind of shows you what you can't repair because actually you need all of these things. Julie, what's your first recommendation apart from baking apple crumble, which we've already heard about?
Strictly Come Dancing. Hooray! Comes back on Saturday at 7:45 on BBC One.
And has its first deaf contestant, whose name I can't remember because I don't watch EastEnders, but everybody who watches EastEnders will already know. And there's been some interesting coverage where she's been having to explain that, yes, deaf people do enjoy music and you can feel vibrations and there's different ways of doing things, including lip reading, she's counting. But she said what's going to be really new, we've got used to Paralympians being on the show, but of course she will have an interpreter with her. And it would be nice if the whole world just remembered that interpreters exist, because we're one of the very few countries whenever we have a press conference from our government, there is no interpreter. If people want to watch it on the BBC News channel and they've got access to it, the BBC has an interpreter. But if you look at places like Australia, New Zealand, always an interpreter standing next to the Prime Minister. So it's going to be nice to at least get an interpreter onto Strictly. I'm going to remind people what I said at the beginning. Hackney Carnival Online is this weekend at Together 2012. We've been working all summer for this. Our film is just 3 minutes long, partly because it's very, very fast. It's going to be on TikTok as well. It's linked to our website, but there's lots and lots of great things to enjoy. Saturday, it's going to be Sound System Day. It's free and it's online on a platform called Mixcloud. All you have to do is click through the link that we've given you, or if you can't find it for some reason, go to the Hackney Council page. And on Sunday, we've got Pax Nindi of Global Carnival has programmed a really fantastic program. We've got performances, films, interviews, competitions. and of course, like I say, our very own Bats film. We're having a little bit of trouble promoting this on Twitter because Twitter think bats ! Is offensive. So watch this space. If you don't see any coverage on Twitter, it's really because their robots have gone completely off the wall. Back to the West Midlands. What else do you recommend, Tracy?
And my other recommendation is it's actually it's a free online event, and it's looking at portraits, and it's called Eye to Eye, which is a interesting take, and it's of the National Gallery in, help me out,
Boca Raton.
that's it.
So
and-
not in the UK, or is it?
No.
No. You can access it at any time. It's not a particular set time. All the links will be up for you to go to. But basically, it's looking at a wide range of portraits, other people's portraits, and looking at themes about cultural identity, body positive. So I found it, and they've got a 6-minute video for you to watch to sort of see if you think it's going to be for you. And I found the 6-minute video really exciting.
And of course, there's been all the live, there's been all the live drawing recently. I'm aware, of course, that if you follow Islam, that's really not going to be for you. But we've got lots of other recommendations coming up, including the very first ever Art History Festival. It's from the 20th to the 23rd of September, free online, booking via Eventbrite. And it's got a fascinating range of events. And I'm just picking one out, which is 5 o'clock today. No, 5 o'clock next week, of course, the 23rd. And it's artists as activists from the quiet to the outspoken. So that sounded totally fascinating. I love the idea that there's an art history festival. Like I say, they have lots and lots of great events. They've got one day, I think, of live events, but the Monday through to the Thursday, everything is online and everything is free. So for all of us who didn't really get any art history at school, or have gone through galleries and things thinking, oh, that person looks really fascinating, I think this is the festival for us. Julie, what else do you recommend?
I'm very excited because Wednesday the 22nd is the autumn equinox. So I went to the website for the observatory, and it's got a little bit of history about it because, of course, it's Mabon, which is also the ancient Celtic tradition. But just before that, on Tuesday, is the harvest moon. Hooray, it's a full moon. So everything's very propitious this week to come.
I'll have to go over that again, but I'm just checking. So there's a full moon, there's the equinox when the day is the same length as the evening, but what's the Mabon?
Mabon is the Celtic festival, which is about the transition from summer into autumn. And it's the whole harvesting thing. It's about, getting ready, sort of harvesting what's gone before, what's been sown and grown during the summer. And the autumn is obviously about preparing for winter. So it's a lovely, lovely time of the year.
So it's the equinox celebration.
It is that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd never heard that before. We've got room for just one more from the West Midlands. What's it going to be? You can fight among.
Okay, I have a poetry book launch. Actually, it's on the 23rd at 7:30 via Disability Arts Online. It's by Stephen Lightbound. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And it's called The Last Custodian. Basically, it's a series of poems set in a post-apocalyptic world where the last survivor on Earth is a paraplegic. I have no more detail. It sounds absolutely intriguing. What is good to know is that all poems will be captioned live and with BSL. And in fact, if you are interested, if you get in touch with Disability Arts Online in advance, they will actually send out copies of poems if that makes it more accessible to you.
That's brilliant. And you're going to be sending me all those details to put up on the website by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
You've got them.
Oh, well, I was going to say I haven't actually got yours, but in writing, but never mind. So what I'm really hoping, of course, is that one of in the future, we will actually be able to get an interview with said poet. But in the meantime, coming up in a minute as our and finally spot is an interview with another poet and an actor who is familiar to us already, Sterre Khan. And we've had Sterre perform on the show. She sent signed poems on the show, but she also starred in our video WhatsApp Auntie, all about the NHS COVID-19 app that we produced when we were trialling it in Newham, which was a year ago. It seems hard to believe, or just over a year ago. And Sterre also produced a performance for us, The Cockerel and the Fox, as part of our 2020 Disability History Month Festival. And I very much hope is coming back to this year's Disability History Month Festival, of which more news next month. So we're going to say goodbye from East London. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or does the interview say it all, Robin?
The interview says everything.
So we'd just like to wish everybody a great week of making and watching and being, and we'll see you again soon.
So today, viewers, we are chatting with Sterre Khan with the support of her interpreter, Irina. My first question to you, Sterre, is actually, can you just give us a little bit of an introduction as to who you are?
Hello, my name, this is my sign name. My name is Sterre Khan. I'm a freelance writer, creator, actress, filmmaker, and YouTuber. So I work on a freelance basis and have been doing such a while, and that's who I am.
With that huge string of things that you do, what point did you become an artist? How did you get involved in so many different areas of the arts?
Right, I'll try to remember from the beginning. So I'm a very creative person, and I've done this for over 10 years now. I first started as a writer. I was really interested in script writing, and I wanted to know about how to deliver a story. So I attended a short course just to get some more information, and I learned about it, and I felt really confident, and I started writing. Then I was interested in filmmaking, so that's how that developed. And then I was also interested in acting. So slowly, I gradually builded up my work, and it's been going on well for about 10 years. I started self-employment around 2 to 3 years ago now. So I think I've been self-employed for 3 years. I'm still self-employed now. At the moment, working from home. Sometimes I travel to work, but I really enjoy being self-employed. And that's how I got into the creative world.
Before we move on to more positive stuff, just wondered, have you experienced any barriers in getting to where you want to be now, you know, from any aspect?
Yes, there have been barriers. So when I started working in the creative industry, the first barrier was my English, because I didn't have a support worker at that time. So there is an interpreter that was supporting me. However, I didn't have any sort of support in terms of access to work. So access to work back then wasn't set up. So in terms of filmmaking and acting, I worked on that gradually. As a creative, I had lots of discussions with deaf organizations, and that was really easy in terms of communication. But working with hearing people was quite difficult, but then looking at different forms of communication. So when I started working as a freelancer, I was able to apply to Access to Work, and Access to Work was extremely supportive. It made my work go a lot more quicker and to gain access.
Well, that's really, really good news to hear. Access to Work can be a really great help when it comes through.
Oh. Yes, definitely. I agree. Just because Access to Work has supported me in making sure I've got the interpreters looking at my English. I can meet hearing people with interpreters as well. So my career has definitely progressed. So it's a real privilege to have access to work. At the moment, I've had that for 3 years now, so I'm hoping it can continue, hopefully.
So you've been self-employed for about 3 years. Obviously, at that point, 18 months in, became COVID. But actually, can you tell me if you actually managed to have any positive experiences with your work through the COVID period?
So the positives of COVID, I mean, positives of the work?
Yeah.
Yes, so there have been positives. I received 3 grants. One grant was from Together 12, which was amazing. So I was able to have that grant to support my performance called The Cockerel and the Fox. And I was part of the Together 2012 interview, the poetry, and other things. So, you know, I've worked really well with Together 2012, which has been amazing. The second fund was from Foundation Future London, and that was linked through the Westfields, and that fund had supported with Cockerel and the Fox to make that into a digital platform. So that was really amazing, and it was such a great experience, really exciting. And the last fund is from Definitely Theatre. So I'd written a short play called No Words. And it was such a positive experience. It's the first time that I received these grants. But also in terms of being a freelancer, you know, there's work that's delivered on Zoom and it's popped up, which is really good. There's a few face-to-face bookings that I've had. So I've worked in a music video. I was part of a music video as well. Called Fever. Just check with the interpreter if it was that correct. So it was with artists Dua Lipa and Anjali. So that was such an amazing experience. I was part of the music video, had a small part in that, but it was fantastic. And there has been positives during COVID. Most of it is working from home, which has been beneficial.
And of course, you get to spend time with your baby.
Yes. But before my baby was born, there was a lot of work that had come up. And then since the birth, there's still some work that I am doing online through Zoom. I didn't expect any work to come through, but I have been receiving lots of work. So it's been quite busy.
And that's great, which kind of leads me to the last question I'm going to ask, which is, you know, what are you doing currently, and kind of what is your plan for the, you know, the upcoming few months, maybe 18 months?
So yes, I hope to continuing on No Words, so developing the story and also working on The Cockerel and the Fox. So thinking about children activities, maybe doing a book, a version in a book possibly. Also, I'm working on a short comedy, a film short comedy, and a short documentary just about my journey. So, and also just still looking for work as a freelancer, you know, still finding what's available. I hope to develop more of my writing, you know, writing, developing more stories, and just to continue. I've got so many projects piling up. But I also work on vlogs on YouTube, and that's things that I will be focused on, and possibly applying for some more grants as well.
It's amazing, and glad that you are so busy, so positive, looking forward. Thank you so much for your time today, and we will finish by showing your filmed poetry of the Together poem. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much as well.
Why Together? Why Together by Sahira Khan. Why together is important. Do you understand what together is? Together. No need to answer. but together is one community. Together. To support each other, to care for each other, to avoid fighting and war, to avoid politics and injustice. Do you get it? Together. Peace, love, and freedom. To be happy, laugh, and relax. Together is one community. Together forever. Together. Why Together by Sahira Khan. Her poem published in Together 2020 Poetry Anthology, Together 2012.